Let's get started now. We're going to review the happenings of the Story Trading VIP community. Those of you who are not familiar with what story trading is a practice of understanding stocks from a holistic perspective by considering what we call the four pillars, which is fundamental, sentiment, catalyst, and technicals. And if you consider information from all of these four pillars, the idea is you can then understand market price action. So it means there's a reason behind all the ups and the downs, behind all the chaos. If the stock seems overpriced, it's overpriced for a reason. If it's underpriced, it's underpriced for a reason. And by collaborating with people in our community, we can identify those reasons to better understand the risks and the opportunities in stocks and better time your entries and exits. So we've been doing that very successfully in our VIP community. Now, last week in our VIP community, we had a researcher contributor, Brian. Brian, I'll just say the first letter of his last name is P. I don't know if he wants to be known out there, but Brian P. did incredible research. Every single week, we choose a researcher of the week. And man, Brian has been doing extensive due diligence on Smith Micro, SMSI, which is a longtime VIP pick in our community. And we're actually having an update tonight at 9 p.m. on Zoom. Right after that, and I see Akhil is there, so let me add him to speaker. So we'll get to SoFi in a second. But tonight, after this meeting on Zoom for our VIP members, we'll get an update on Smith Micro from our community moderator, James Ticknor. We're also going to be getting an update on QC Copper and Gold, QCCUF, from Chris Hampton. It's tagged up there. You can see the tag there. QCCUF is actually one of the best performing stocks through all of the volatility of the market. I believe it's still up 36% since it was chosen several months ago. So that stock is doing great. It's a copper mining company. So again, SMSI and QCCUF updates at 9 p.m. Last week, we had two events. We had a VIP presentation on SoFi by Akhil, who is here. Just inviting him to speak. And make sure. Okay. And we also had an interview of the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of Good Gaming, GMER, which is an NFT gaming company. Now, unfortunately, that has not really worked out. So they launched this NFT game. This company, Good Gaming, hasn't really gone great, but it was a great interview. We learned a lot about the company. We now know what to look for in case there's going to be an inflection point in the future. So that interview is still under embargo, available to our VIP members. We'll be releasing it to YouTube later this week. So if you want to be alerted first to know when our YouTube videos come out, please go. You can go to youtube.com/storytrading, youtube.com/storytrading. Follow us there, and you can be notified when Good Gaming comes out. Akhil, by the way, you need to be using Twitter on your phone and in the app, and it can't be an old phone. So if you're not able to hop on the mic, that'll be why. So we'll try it again. Now, while we're waiting to see if Akhil can come on, I do also want to mention this past week we had two recent VIP presentations that made it into the financial newswires. So that's VTSI and also REL, RELL. And if you scroll at the top, you'll see those links. Now, VTSI has been a favorite stock of mine that was later championed by a lot of people in the community. Kevin Crawford has become a big researcher for VTSI, so he presented to our Zoom community about a month ago an update on that stock. We subsequently wrote an article, submitted it to Benzinga, and it got posted in the newsfeed. So we're very excited about that. If you click on that link up there that's pinned, you can actually get to that article and read about VTSI over there. And then REL is a more recent presentation I gave about 2 weeks ago. Maybe it's been 3 weeks. This stock was presented or found, I should say, by a member in our community, Julian, but then I championed that I got real excited about that. I still have a very large position in REL, and I should disclose I also have a large position in VTSI. But REL, RELL, Richardson Electronics, I think is a very, very compelling story. A stock that's holding up technically through this drawdown, a stock that's a good combination of growth and value, and it's sentiment-wise in a very hot space in green energy, solar, EV, wind energy. So they're doing a lot of exciting things. So I encourage you to take a look at the article on REL, which made the Financial Newswire. So we're very excited about that. And you know what? If you become part of our community and you present a stock, you'll have a chance to have your story published into the Financial newsfeed. So tonight we're getting VTSI and QCCUF. So we'll give them the opportunity if they want to send us a draft, and then we make it real nice and professional and put our 4 pillars into it, send it over to Benzinga. And we have a couple other media partners we are working with that hopefully will get published on soon as well. So lots of great opportunities at StoryTrading to get your voice heard and get the stories known. And with that, while we're going to pause for Akhil to see if he can get his tech working or not, if anyone has any questions or comments on any stocks I just mentioned, on GMER, on SMSI, QCCUF, VTSI, RELL, that's the time to do it right now. You can hit your mic button and we can take a few questions or comments on those stocks. And from there, we're going to go to Akhil. Let me hit the invite to speak button one more time. Akhil, are you with us? I think he may be on an older phone. This tends to happen when people cannot connect. It's either because they're on an older phone. That's usually the reason. There you are. Hey, Akhil, how you doing?
Hey, Ben, I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm so glad you're able to make it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
hey, sorry, I missed the conversation. What have we what am I supposed to talk on?
well, you presented SOFI to our community last week. We just published the replay to YouTube about 10 minutes ago. So our audience can go ahead to youtube.com/storytrading and take a look at that at their own time. But if you'd like to give us a very short summary on what you presented last week with SOFI, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Akhil, and I presented SOFI to the community last week. I had mentioned in the community that I am invested in SOFI for a lot of personal reasons. I knew the initial co-founder from my time when I was doing my business school, and I knew the potential of the company. Have had a chance to visit the headquarters a couple of times and meet the management as well. And yeah, and recently, the stock has not done well because of the overall market sentiment towards growth stocks that haven't been making any money. But I believe in the SOFI story long term for a couple of reasons. I think, the first is they are trying to create a whole ecosystem on their platform, right from lending loans for personal reasons, students, or for home mortgage, etc. Right, their biggest market is student refinance as of today, but they have started penetrating into other segments. So that's a big revenue stream for them. The second segment of revenue that they have is a platform that they own called Galileo. And this platform is very interesting. It is basically almost like a SaaS product that enables other fintech players to build, things such as digital cards, digital wallets, payments, etc. as a company. So a lot of small players can actually use this Galileo product to enable a lot of fintech services, and they pay both a fixed fee as well as a pay as you use fees. That revenue stream has been growing at 50% year over year, and some of their big customers are people like Robinhood, I forget the name. I published it. It's on my YouTube channel. But really big bank, even banks, fintech players, Instacart, those sort of DoorDash, those sort of players use their technology. And the third revenue stream for them is, of course, is also their whole money, SoFi money ecosystem through which they offer brokerage services, they offer financial advice. I think there is a lot of potential there. I believe they are trying to become something like an Intuit in some sense, which offers a lot of financial capabilities to their customers. So, and all three segments are growing pretty rapidly. In the last 2 years, the company's revenue has grown tremendously, in spite of the fact that the biggest segment, which is student refinance, has been has not been growing because of the student loan moratorium, right? That the government has placed. So, in spite of all that, they have been growing tremendously. Their management team is pretty strong as well. So I think for all those reasons, I think I'm really a big believer in SoFi. Of course, things can go bad. They are still burning cash, not as much as a lot of other tech companies, but they're still not profitable. So there is, of course, an element of risks that comes in.
I don't know if it's just me. Niraj, do you hear Akhil? He just dropped off.
I think we lost him. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Akhil, for that update. I will add, if you happen to come back on, you can comment on this, but you brought up a great nugget last week that the Super Bowl next week is at SoFi Stadium. I think you're back.
Hello?
Oops, yeah, we lost you for a minute.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not. And I was speaking all along, and I just realized I keep a time limit on my iPhone, and it timed out because I had spent more time on Twitter than I should. So
that happens to me every single day. Literally every day.
Okay, I apologize. I've been talking for the last one. I don't know where I was cut off. I can repeat myself.
Well, no, I think that's a good overview. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about SoFi Stadium and the Super Bowl next week.
Oh yeah, and I think SoFi has got the naming rights for the stadium, which is hosting the Super Bowl next week, I believe. I am not a football fan, American football fan, but I know soccer. Super Bowl is the most watched event on earth. So, imagine, the kind of like marketing for free that they will get next week. And probably, they are going to get a lot of customers on their platform for free who are watching. So that is, again, I think a big, we will see, I think, the effect of that in maybe the next earnings report. So there is some kind of good sentiment going into there as well. And that stadium has been rated one of the best stadiums, football stadiums in the US, a world-class stadium. So, I think, they have done a lot of good things. Some people might think they overpaid, paying 30 million a year for 20 years, but probably that's a good customer acquisition strategy for them.
Great. And, I want to mention that that's possibly a good trade idea for this week. It really depends on other factors and macroeconomics and also the technicals specific to SoFi towards the end of the week. But very often you'll see stocks of companies which have commercials on Sunday night of the Super Bowl do well on Monday morning. But more often you'll see them do well on like Friday, like before, because people start anticipating it. So it is a possible trade idea if you're so inclined for a shorter term trade. That's something I may be looking at SoFi this week to buy this week, and depending on how it does, maybe sell Friday before the close or sell Monday morning when the rest of the world wakes up and they're like, oh, I saw SoFi all over the TV last night. So possible trade idea there. Does anyone have any questions at this point before we're about to transition into all of the Trump stocks? If you have a question for Akhil, also, Akhil, tap on Akhil's profile if you'd like there, and you can follow him. This has a wealth of information, not only on SoFi, but has presented a couple other stocks for community, Global E, and there was a third one too. What wasn't there, Akhil?
Matterport.
Matterport, right. So Matterport, Global GLBE, SoFi. So he does a lot of due diligence. Definitely follow him here on Twitter to learn more about those stocks. And if we don't, Akhil, thank you so much for that update.
Yeah, to be honest, I do have to update my Twitter account and be more active. There is not a lot of information at this point there, but I need to add some.
Okay, that's great. Well, with all the new follows you'll get tonight, it'll start motivating you to add some more on Twitter. So appreciate your time. And with that, move into the Trump stocks. Niraj, you there?
I'm there, man.
How you doing, man? What a year so far. What a month. I mean, unbelievable. We have really outperformed by focusing on the Trump names this year. We were there at the very beginning with DWAC. We picked up on CFVI. My Lord, we got Brad Pascal here from AIAD. That's a stock we've been following very, very closely. So where are you now? You've been picking Rumble CFVI almost every single week as trade of the week. And I think last week was kind of transformative, and also this weekend with all the chatter of Joe Rogan. What are your thoughts on how CFVI is going to do going forward?
I think it will continue to do well. The question is, will it be able to hold the gains? I mean, it's been doing well. I think it closed at high of the day on Friday, which is good. I mean, we have news on CFVI almost every day, and maybe multiple tweets through the day. So I don't think there is any shot of intensity or tweets or folks who been talking about CFVI at different boards like Twitter or StockWits. The question is, can it hold the gains, and can it continue to pull upwards and move towards that 15 resistance, right? So the market is obviously not helping it for sure. Otherwise, I think we should have seen 15s like in the first week of January when all the news started coming in and everything was looking good for CFVI. But I'm still very, very positive. And the merger closes Q2, so we are like maybe 2-3 months away from that. Before that, DWAC Truth app will be launched. Trump did mention he wants to launch on President Day. By the way, the relation between DWAC and CFVI is CFVI will be providing hosting services for DWAC. So the Truth app will not be hosted on Amazon or any other Google, or it will be hosted on CFVI cloud services. So that's
can I let me jump in on that and just ask you, because my understanding, may be wrong about this, but I thought my understanding was the video streaming, any videos that come in, the videos will be hosted on Rumble, but the rest of the cloud, I know they have ambitions for that, but is that already available and they're going to be hosting that on Rumble's cloud? I'm not sure that's announced yet.
Okay, because I mean, maybe the way I was reading it, they want to host everything on Rumble, but maybe there is a division of the videos versus the actual app. So maybe I'll look into it more and see how they want to go about it. So I mean, from CFVI, we still have 3 months to the merger. I mean, the merger closure, right? Which means being a SPAC, the floor is 10. So in terms of your risk, you're at the current price of $12.70. It's like a 20-25% down, right? But the upside is unlimited. Whereas DWAC is already playing and holding strong like 80s. So, but it's a SPAC, so the floor is still the same. So obviously, from risk point of view, CFVI is a better risk reward play. But all the Trump stocks will move together. We don't know which one will break the trend and continue to go much, much higher. For now, I'm very, very positive about CFVI. I've been playing. I've been playing options. I've been trading some stocks here and there. But on the long run, I would definitely would like to hold a lot of commons and see how this whole thing plays out.
Right. A couple notes of caution I want to put out there with CFVI is you can't just compare dollar prices with DWAC. CFVI was valued 4 times higher than DWAC. So that's something to be aware of. At $10, it's already valued at $2.1 billion, whereas DWAC was valued at $500 million at $10. So that's something to be aware of over there. The other thing, which, a broader conversation, I can't, Chris Pavlowski finally got back to me and agreed to an interview. So we're going to nail down a date in the next few weeks to interview Chris, coming on the heels of the interview with the fund CEO and the COO. But, my burning question is, can't Apple and Google just pull them anytime they want, just like they pulled Parler? I think that's a risk. Thinking about that risk makes me cautious on my allocations. I'm not, I have this is the largest position I have, and it's about 10%. I'm not going higher than 10% because of that risk. Niraj, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with the risk. Risk is there. The question is, Rumble if Rumble is providing the hosting services, then the risk is limited. But again, we might have pressure from SEC for Rumble to put the Truth app on hold. So, and SEC is already looking into DWAC, right, the merger. So the risk is there. Either either the Google and Apple can remove the app, but recently in the Senate, the bill is getting passed where Apple and Google won't have that right because they will have to let anybody who wants to put an app without a lot of restrictions. But again, the question is if they are challenging few things, there is pressure, there's political pressure to take these down. So I agree with what Ben is saying. There is risk, manage your risk. But at the same time, Rumble can take over and continue to provide cloud services. So that's the question. Will Truth be completely launched on Rumble? And so say if it's launched on Rumble and still Google and Apple say, okay, we would not allow Rumble and Truth to be there, then the only way for folks to access is they cannot access this via the app, but they can still access this via the browser, right? Because Google or Apple can't block the browser. So it will be accessible, but obviously it makes it much more easy and convenient if the app is there.
Yeah, they did take some precautions there, right? Parler was on AWS and they were just banned off the internet. In this case, they have their own servers, so their website will still be up in that case. But realistically, a company's not going to thrive without an app. I've heard about this bill in the Senate or going around about what you said about Apple and the Google stores. Man, I would be surprised. I don't know. I have not researched this at all. I don't know what the status of that is. But in an election year, midterms coming up with the Democrats in control, I would be really surprised if they allow something like that to pass. I would think they would all love Rumble to be taken down before the midterms. So, if you have, I think that's something worthwhile collaborating on in our VIP community later, kind of looking up the status of that bill and seeing what the support for that might be. If that gets passed, that would be great. They'll remove a lot of the risk for Rumble.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and the stat, by the way, the social media exploding for Rumble this weekend. I've never seen anything like it. Big named accounts all talking about how Joe Rogan should switch to Rumble. All over the place. Rumble's getting mentioned everywhere. I have a feeling tomorrow morning and this week might be really, really good for Rumble.
And one more thing, Ben.
Yeah.
Trump is speaking on Tuesday. Let me tell you. Please double check this. He's speaking at 8:30 a.m. Tuesday mornings with Maria. So that could be a great catalyst because we don't know what he's going to speak. He may cancel it. We don't know. But that's what, based on what I could find out, Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. So he wants to speak before the market opens. So tomorrow might be a good day to get back if you guys have sold it or if you want to get a position in CFVI. Might be a good day. But again, check your risk, check the market, and how things are.
And you have been on fire with those catalysts ahead of time, predicting when DWAC and CFVI will do. predicting when they'll do well based on those Trump events. You've been 100% correct on it. The market does react to that and does anticipate, and have these positive moves before any kind of significant event. So kudos to you on that, Niraj.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep. We got also AIAD, which we've been talking about a lot in our community, especially after our interview with Fun. I don't know if it was Randall Crowder, it was or Phil or Alan. I don't forget his name. Alan Nowatzki, the CEO, and the CEO. One or both of them. I'd asked them about AIAD, and they both acknowledged they're kind of in the universe with Rumble and with Truth Social, and they're using some like a Nucleus service, and we're trying to figure all that out. Really not sure if Nucleus is part of AIAD anymore, but the stock is doing very well, especially with that interview with Fun. It's a much smaller market cap. Obviously, has a lot of risk. It's hard to find information on the company in terms of SEC filings, but their website has been exploding with a lot more additional information recently. I don't know, Niraj, if you've been playing that stock at all. I mean, it's been up almost every day the past 7 to 10 days.
No, I've not been playing, but I've been following you, and you've been absolutely correct predicting and reading those charts, and it has a beautiful chart. I was just short of cash, otherwise, or I was trying to see if I can rotate some money, but the market just was not giving me the opportunity. Otherwise, I would have loved to play it. But I just see, I mean, AIAD has done the best among all Trump stocks portfolio in the last 2 weeks at least.
Great. Well, look at that. We got a surprise guest, Brad Pascal here from AIAD. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm not actually official with AIAD. I am a large shareholder. Obviously, it purchased my previous companies, and the AIAD platform is based off of my vision of software from back about 5-6 years ago, and it took them several years to write it. So there's been a lot of confusion between my companies. Campaign Nucleus is a privately held company. It's political completely. It's a software not going to be released until later in the year, but the AIAD platform has been released. Now the two work together, but that is not something that's been released yet. And obviously, I have a very close relationship with Funware, and I think there's going to be some fun announcements tomorrow morning. I don't want to jump ahead of it, but there'll be some great press releases tomorrow morning.
Well, that is exciting. So are you able to explain a little bit of Nucleus versus AIAD?
Yeah. So the difference between, over the last 5-6 years, I recognized in politics, there was kind of two main things that were missing. On the political side, there was no real operating system or like kind of Salesforce-like software to manage a campaign. So what we did was, and so if you really think about it, the very clear line is Nucleus is built as AI-based earned media, and AI advertising platform is AI-based paid media. So both are full SaaS-based, full stack software applications that have been written over the last few years. Almost 16 developers now, and a complete development team, but separated completely. I am not on the board or management of AID. I walked away from that to go run the 2020 campaign and do some other things, which obviously were very political. So the AIAD platform is pretty much the vision of what I did in 2016, which is a full wraparound circle of software to it can find if you connect it and you attach it to, let's say, your CRM or other data clouds, you can actually build your personas, your customers. It'll find customers. It will automatically build the ads through AI. It'll actually place omni-channel programmatic advertising, learn what's happening with the responses all the way down to the color level, all the things. If you saw my 60 Minutes years ago, it's pretty much AI-based. What I had 100 employees doing hundreds of millions of dollars advertising back in 2016. That's been fully automated now so that a mid-sized company doesn't have to hire a multi-million-dollar agency. An agency can just put a software platform and completely advertise and increase their KPIs and ROAS by automating the entire stack. And it could rapidly create ads. For people that don't know, in 2016, I created like 5.2 million ads versus Hillary Clinton's 66,000 ads. And the reason we did that, the only part that wasn't automated back then was the actual ad creation process. We had 100 people in San Antonio making ads. Well, that changed now through this. Nucleus is a complete platform to manage political organizations' campaigns. Now, eventually, those, and it's possible that someday those will be connected. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but yes, there is obviously a connection between the two. There's both Giles Parscale, Parscale Digital, Parscale Media are all owned by AIAD. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah,
I read on the forums every day. People are so confused about all of this, but the problem is the media says so much lies. You can't really tell what's what.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I got a question for you. There's been a lot of speculation since Facebook missed that this is a good catalyst for AIAD, this AI advertising. I know someone in the ad business, and they were not surprised with Facebook's miss. They said because of the iOS changes of privacy and cookies.
Yeah. Well, also you have supply. Also people cut back advertising when you have no supply chain. So, I mean, if you don't have anything in inventory, why are you advertising more?
Yeah, it didn't affect Google, though.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Facebook is a different type of product than Google. I think Google has enough revenue. Look, Facebook has had a lot of problems over the years. I've always was a fan, but I also think there's a lot of movement. There's a lot more other choices now. I mean, you got TikTok, Instagram, you have all these things that have really picked up in the last 5 years. But AIAD is omni-channel. It's not just Facebook, so it would work in Google. It's going to work in these other platforms as well. So it's not like it's just Facebook. It's omni-channel programmatic buying across anything that's addressable.
Got it, Brad. Man, I wouldn't be sensitive to your time. This wasn't planned. If you have
I was just sitting here watching 1883, and somebody sent me an email and said, "Hey, I love 1883 and Paramount and all those Westerns." But anyways, I was sitting here and someone sent me an email and said, "You guys are talking about all this," and there was a lot of confusion. So I figured what would be lost of me in 5 minutes saves me about 100 press releases to explain it or to go on TV. No one will actually get it right anyways if you go to the press.
Right. Well, I'll definitely have to listen to the recording later and try to figure all this out. But
yeah, the real clear line is Nucleus is earned media AI. If you know what that means, that means like trying to earn, building movements, building natural grassroots movements. AIAD is a platform for paid advertising to build, and to increase your ROAS and to automate the entire stack of advertising through AI. So that's the clear line, and people have a hard time. Now, both can be symbiotic, but that is the clear line and the difference between, kind of commercial and political software.
Got it. That's helpful. And do you said AID has an interest in your organizations, but do you own any AID?
No, I own, yes. So I got 230 million shares in 2017, I think it is. That's all public. So okay. 225 million. I don't remember how many shares it is. And then, but Nucleus is a complete separate. It's just an LLC. It's not a public traded company. It's completely political. It runs all of, the Trump press releases, the Trump events, all that kind of stuff. It runs right now. We're currently just in beta for a couple dozen candidates and organizations across the country. We don't plan to release a full software release until after the 22 cycle. In preparing for the 24 cycle. We've been funded with a first round of investments. We don't know if we'll go public or do anything in the future. The SEC and a lot of these places don't like political organizations being there and political software. So, it might always just say private, but it's a well-funded organization ready to, deliver the most comprehensive political software to center-right candidates the world's ever seen.
All right, great. And regarding AIAD, how do we value that? Give us some help. How much do you think this company is worth?
I think this company is so undervalued because people have, for the last 3 years, have treated it like it's some, they read all this fake news about me and penny stocks, blah, blah. The reason why I sold my company is because the President of the United States brought me to the Oval Office and asked me to become his campaign manager. And it's really hard to run a company while you're the senior advisor and the campaign manager of the President of the United States. So I sold the company to a public company, guys I knew, and I said, take my baby home. And they've been spending the last 4 years developing the software while the fake media just wrote fake stories about undervalue. And they went back to fake stories. People buy shells and, you don't know until the media digs in. 12 years ago, some guy, went over a speed bump or something, right? That's how much they dug on me and all these things. And this company has spent millions of dollars and hired some of the best developers I've seen to write this software. And I think when people start to see what it does and it starts to have performance, it's going to take a couple quarters for the revenue to get up. But, I could easily see this company doing $400 or $500 million in ad revenue, quick. It just all depends on, as people start seeing the performance and start to believe in this kind of tech, removing kind of the ad kind of traditional advertising agency, production cycle that most corporations use.
And what interests me is you said quickly getting to 400 to 500 million. I just think I threw this question by Funware, and they kind of agreed with me that you all kind of have to support each other. You're going up against big tech, and DWAC and CFVI
AIAD is not going against big tech. Remember, we're programmatic placing advertising. Funware is different, right? AIAD is utilizing the channels that are there through programmatic, APIs. So Facebook, Google, whatever platform is addressable TV, Comcast. So that's different. So, and because it's omni-channel, the AI can find if one moment Facebook's doing worse and TikTok's doing better, the AI will figure that out and move the ad budget to there automatically within milliseconds. So AI it's literally, doesn't matter what platform moves because every platform has a programmatic API pretty much. Does that make sense?
Well, this is pretty interesting. I have a couple businesses. We spend, not huge, but we do like 10,000 a month in advertising. Is that something? Is that available?
Currently not that low of level right now. I mean, it's going to take some time. I mean, the clients you're signing up now are going to be multi-million advertising because to get the kind of efficiencies and scale the AI to learn. But over time, just like any kind of really good software, as the cost of operating goes down and the cost of kind of replenishing all that development funds, the software could become more affordable. That's not my decision. I'm not the CEO of that company, but I could see that happening. But right now you're talking about larger ad spends. You're talking about, $200,000-$300,000 a month budgets, maybe 100,000. But there is tons of companies in that mid-level that overpay to large New York, LA-based advertising agencies, and they might put up 30 creatives a year, and we're talking about putting up 30,000 creatives a night.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Brian, did he have a question or comment? Brian Schottenstein.
Hey guys, Brad, it's great that you're on this. I'm actually a shareholder of AIAD and really intrigued with everything you guys have going on. I don't know if you can answer this and sort of kind of shooting from the hip here, but is there anything you can talk about AIAD possibly being involved with Truth Social?
I'm not, again, I just want to repeat, I'm not a board member. I'm not an employee. I'm just a shareholder of AIAD. So, it happens to own some of my old companies, things like that. But, I think, I don't want to get into all the stuff. I have a lot of NDAs with the president, obviously. As being, this is my 13th year working for him, regardless of what reports say, I still have a lot of contracts with him and do a lot of work. I'm just going to leave it at that right now. I don't want to be, that's the president for him to decide who he wants to say yes and no to and what they're going to be. Currently he uses Nucleud for a lot of things and, we'll see how Truth Social goes. But I don't think I want to have any impact or saying that. That's a whole other world. I hope everyone understands that.
All right, thanks.
I'm happy to talk about what I have impact on.
Brad, are you going to convince Trump to run for president again?
I hope he does whatever makes him happy. I just, I don't think I would be campaign manager again, obviously, but it took, it was a long 6 years of my life. But I got to learn. I think that you'll see a very, unique press release tomorrow. And there is one fact. I'm the only developer, marketer, and political consultant to ever be campaign manager. So it gave me a very unique view of multi-billion-dollar kind of organic advertising. And I think what you're going to see through both software platforms is kind of that staff and the developers that were all around me that got to really see that kind of viewpoint, dealing with that kind of cancel culture, dealing with the amount of volume, learning and being able to test kind of very unique theses on advertising and the way it can be done through AI. I think the Trump years gave my teams a very unique idea of how to write software that I think portions of the industry don't do. And I think what you're going to see and why you're seeing this rise in all of these companies is you got a lot of unique developers that have a different bird's eye view of the world. And I think you're going to see technology that comes out of that. I think that's much different than the social media portion, which the president obviously is a 500-pound gorilla in. But I think the tech is the part that really hasn't shown up yet. The aftermath of what we learned having to spend 5 years fighting them. And I think that you're just on the edge of the shore of seeing what that ocean is.
That's exciting. Brad, I want to ask your opinion on what I spoke to Niraj about earlier. Politically, like, do you think there's going to be what is it? The stores, Apple and Google, can pull or will pull down Rumble or Trump Social, or there's going to be laws against that?
Well, I don't know what Congress does. I doubt if there's laws. I agreed with you earlier. I think Congress would be. Look, I don't think Democrats love big tech any more than Republicans. I just think Republicans are a little more colorful in talking about it. I don't think anyone in politics likes. I mean, if you got to remember, the people that were really drilling Facebook on privacy and everything were Democrats, not Republicans. I think you have to be careful with what Congress does. I'm also a Republican. I like freedom. I think if we don't like big tech, let's make our own tech. I don't like regulating that. But look, I think that Parler made a lot of mistakes, and I think one of them, was I think their tech stack was a little weak at the time. I think they were obscuring, and I think the problem was they didn't have good AI to kind of really take off, some dirty things that were on their platform, and they didn't even, rewrite the URLs or obscure them, and so they were just direct links to Amazon AWS with pictures of things that were illegal in the United States. And I think Amazon had no choice. I think I don't think Apple and Google want to probably get in a war with Donald Trump and 140 million Americans. I mean, I would tell Tim Cook, I would think that would be a bad idea but I always believe in the Michael Jordan view. When someone asked him, are you going to say anything about Trump? He said, Republicans buy shoes also. If I was Tim Cook, I would say Republicans buy iPhones also. I think that I think there should be clear guidelines of how to make a social media app, and if you follow those, it shouldn't matter what your political view is, as long as you follow the guidelines. And I think that I think Apple and Google will take that round. I think the social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook are a whole different world. And I still continue to believe that the reason they banned Trump was not because of external problems; it was because they were going to lose a third of their workforce if they didn't get Trump off their platform. And I think
are you serious? Wow,
yeah, I think it's more about the Palo Alto Mafia and what happens inside their buildings than what happens outside their buildings. And when I said Facebook employees were embedded with us in the 2016 campaign, which they were Republicans who wanted to help us win. When employees of Facebook found out that Facebook employees were doing that, you almost had a mass mutiny. And that's what you see happen over 2017 after my 60 Minutes interview that really starts the implosion of politics with inside Facebook.
Man, that is fascinating. You have any thoughts on Spotify and Joe Rogan? Any predictions? What's going to happen there?
Yeah, I think you'll find a new home. I think controversy sometimes controversy drives innovation, and I think all of these things we're just going to with a better place. I think eventually, right now you have engineers and people imagining new ways to communicate and do things. Because honestly, Twitter sucks, and I know I'm on it right now, and I think that's hypocritical of me, but I can't wait for somebody to make something better, and so that 1,000 people a day don't yell at me and tell me they hate my beard and think I'm ugly. I think it's stupid, and I just, I just turn it off now. But I think we're ready for something better, and look, I mean, I have told people a million times, Twitter talked to the world on, the president talked to people on Twitter, the world, but he won the election on Facebook. The Facebook platform was more utilized and was a better deliverable of chasing votes and doing kind of micro-targeting API and programmatic buying. The Twitter ad platform is a piece of crap, and I always thought that the former CEO was an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what about Getter? Isn't that your former colleague who put that together?
Yeah,
right?
Jason Miller, Getter. Yeah. Look, I good luck to him. The more the merrier. And I think the president's going to have that attitude. I think the president's going to say, everyone, let's go do this. I think the more conservative outlets there are, and there's more voices, the better. I don't think it's anything about a single outlet. I think it's doing well. I think Getter is doing well. I believe that I believe that's just the start of a domino effect where big tech's getting hurt. And this first quarter from Facebook might be a sign of that. I mean, the fact is Facebook had large revenues from a lot of rural areas in the United States that are pretty pissed off when Facebook just, I think things like the Hunter Biden notebook, laptop stuff where they banned it. And now people are finding out it's true, to the origins of the coronavirus. I think all those things and them regulating and saying that it wasn't true and then later finding out it is true, are going to be devastating long term to them and to their ability to, for this 120, 140 million Americans who are upset about it. And the problem with Facebook is a large portion of that was their market. And the question is how many people really have connected the dots. But as they connect the dots, they're going to be looking for something else, or they're just shutting off. I know more and more people every day that text me and email me and just say, you know what, I'm off social media. I'm kind of like that too this day. I tweet rarely. Right now I'm just very excited about these two software platforms. I kind of feel like AID is like a birth of a new child for me, because I spent 6 years. In 2015, I came up with this, with a group of great guys like Gary Kobe and others, this great thesis of how we could really change advertising on social media. And this is the first piece of tech to automate all that through machine learning. And that's exciting. So that's why I started talking about it. And I want, even though I'm not a direct employee and I'm my other baby's Nucleus, it's great to see that vision come to life from all those years and years of mapping out an idea and a dream.
Sounds great. Well, I'm a shareholder of AIAD now, and I'm happy I got a chance to speak to you.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks for taking me on there. I wasn't planning on speaking. I was just going to listen, but then I heard that you were confused about AID, and I was like, all right, I'll have to click the little request button.
Appreciate it so much. Where are you based out of, by the way?
We're kind of all over. AID is currently all the business are for AIDs in Texas, San Antonio. It's my old office building in San Antonio from Giles Parscale. However, Nucleus is based out of South Florida. However, I'm spending a lot of time in Ohio right now, working on a bunch of races up here as beta tests for the software. We're finding amazing results from what we call our new AI-based war room, which is artificial intelligence to fight back against fake news. We haven't released a white paper on that yet, but over the last 3 years, as we saw kind of the fight against what they call fake news, there was a lot of ways to use machine learning to fight back against that. And so we're testing that in a few states right now and seeing great results in a few campaigns.
That's awesome. Are you accepting like Democrats as customers too?
No. I'm center right. I'm fully pregnant on being a Republican and believing in the conservative values in America. And if you're a Democrat and you want my software, then just go somewhere else.
All right, Brad, thank you so much for joining us. It was very
generous. Thanks. Well, hopefully you guys will like the press releases tomorrow. I think it'll be a very interesting day.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. That was an awesome surprise. I got Lexi. I have a question or comment. I wanted to be courteous to Brad's time over there since he came in unannounced. But Lexi, did he have a comment or question?
Hi, yeah. I just wanted to ask if Brad ever thought that if he thinks he'll ever go on Joe Rogan.
We'll find out about that in due time. That'll be fun. So, guys, we're going to wrap it up soon. Go ahead and follow Brad if you haven't been already. Make sure you're following Brad. And while Brad's coming back in, maybe he wants to answer your question.
Hello? Okay,
yes.
That's just ironic. Lexi, yes, I don't think I'll go on Joe Rogan anytime soon, but that's funny. Anyways, guys, that's actually my daughter now following me here, so she's just messing with me. Sorry about that, guys. She's 20-something. She's trying to hijack the thing. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, man. Thank you.